All right, back here on Busted Open. Dave LaGreca, Bully Ray. We'll try to get back to the busy phones, but it's been about 2 years since we had this man in studio, and he's back. And Joey Janela joins the show here on a Wednesday. Joey, what's up, man?
Hey, guys. What's going on?
We're excited to have you on. It's been a while.
It's been a couple years. I think I made a little cameo in the last... after that, but...
You came on when I had a day off, a rare day off. It's like you tried to avoid me or something. But no, seriously, it's good to have you on, and we're really excited. Lost in New York is taking place next Friday, August 17th. There's just a few tickets available, and it's, once again, big buzz around one of your shows, my friend.
Yep, we're looking at a complete sellout, which is crazy because we're running against NXT House Show, which is in Asbury Park, which is not too far of a train ride, about an hour train ride from here in NXT. Always, you don't run against NXT because they always draw huge, but somehow we're looking at a sellout again, and we're in New York City. It's not WrestleMania weekend, it's SummerSlam weekend. A lot less, tourist around SummerSlam, so it was an experiment to see what we can do, but it's working, and it's going to be awesome.
Joey, you said you're about 30 tickets away from a sellout. Run down your card. What do you have going on that night? Tell me what's special about it.
We have Matt Riddle versus PCO. There's a lot of rumors surrounding Matt Riddle right now and where he's going. I don't know what those rumors entail, but we'll see what happens. But he's wrestling PCO. Pierre-Carl Ouellet, who's had an insane resurgence on the independents. He's wrestling every weekend. He's 51 years old, and he's just putting on barn burner after barn burner. He's probably the guy right now on the indies, the most talked about in-demand guy at 51 years old. And it's just insane, and a lot of people want to see this match between Matt Riddle, and thankfully we made it happen just before the buzzer went off, so that one's going to be pretty crazy. We have a 6-man ladder match. It's going to be like Money in the Bank, but you got to grab the brass ring. I'm surprised no one's done that yet. Thought of that one. And then the winner of that gets to pick whatever dream match they want for spring break next year. We have me versus Hakushi, Jinsei Sasaki. I just wrestled Great Sasuke WrestleMania weekend. And this is another guy coming in from Michinoku Pro that's going to try to avenge his friend's loss, which probably won't happen because it's my show, so I'll probably put myself over. So,
oh, there you go.
Yeah, that's
so smart.
And we have Haku, Mang versus Nick Gage, who's had another resurgence on the indies, was in prison for 5 years for robbing a bank, and now he's good. He's been killing it, wrestling every weekend. He's off the bad stuff, and he's wrestling one of the most dangerous men to ever step in a ring or into a locker room, Haku. That's another one of our main events. This is just a show full of main events and craziness. Those are some of the matches you're going to see next week in New York City.
It's funny you talk about this Nick Gage guy like he's a bad dude. He's been in jail. He's probably a tough son of a bitch, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. One of the toughest wrestlers. He actually died in a match.
Yeah, but you do realize he's up against Haku, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like Haku at 197 years old will still be tougher than every pro wrestler that ever walked the planet.
Well, Haku's never died in a helicopter after a wrestling match. He's legit was clinically dead after a match.
But that's because Haku would never die. Haku's tougher than Chuck Norris, which on the scale is like the toughest man in the world.
You might be right. You might be onto something. Someone might be listening. Start one of those Chuck Norris-esque Twitters for Haku with all those puns. But that's some of the craziness you're going to see next week. It's going to be wild. We haven't even announced the full card yet. We have 3 surprises. And also a live performance from 90s one-hit wonder, Wheatus, singing Teenage Dirtbag.
No way!
Are you kidding me?
Yep.
Are you serious?
Yep.
Whoa! Not a clue.
You don't remember that song?
No.
That song was big, like Joey said, in the 90s. It's just kind of, it's weird. You're throwing in that band. It kind of fits into the mold because, we've talked a lot here on the air about your spring break shows. And what's that like for you that, WrestleMania weekend, now SummerSlam weekend, that there's buzz and people are talking about one of your shows?
Yeah, it's just, it's wild. Me and Game Changer Wrestling, Danny DeMonto, Brett Lauderdale, and John Carlo, the guy who produces all my videos, we all get together and we book these cards. And it's not my money, so I don't care what happens to it. But now that the smoke is cleared from the first 2 shows, I wish it was my money because I'd be making a lot of money. But, they just kind of give me full reign to book these shows, and they're an ultimate success. And now we're trying to break away from just WrestleMania weekend and trying to do a few a year during the big WWE shows. So depending on this one's success and how it goes, we'll see what happens. LA Survivor Series weekend or Phoenix, Arizona for Royal Rumble weekend. We'll see what happens there.
Joey, let's switch it up a bit. I know you're excited about the shows you have going on, which have been successful so far. Hopefully you have another successful one. Let's talk All In for a second. You and Hangman Page. This has got to be a pretty big deal for you, huh?
Yeah, this is huge. It's
have you ever performed in front of 10,000 people before?
Never. In Mexico, 6,000, but that doesn't even come close to 10,000 people in Chicago. Chicago's one of the hottest wrestling crowds in the world, especially 10,000 of them. It's the first All In, so they're just going to be electric. And I think, according to the Bucks, I'll be opening that show on the pay-per-view and Fight. And I don't think I can be in a better spot because that crowd is going to be legit on fire. The building might collapse. I don't know.
Actually, do you think you'll be over?
Oh, absolutely. I think so. I think I'm at this time everywhere I go. I'm probably get the biggest. I'm not a cocky guy, but everywhere I go, I get the biggest pop every show now in the last year. So there's a lot of new fans that are going to see me. So it's going to be interesting, but I think I'll be over there.
And being in the first, like you're saying, rumored possibly being in that first match, like, could you think of a better position than being in that first match? Because, Bully, you always say that sets the tone for the rest of the card.
I'd rather be in the first match than the last match. First match is the greatest spot on the show. I would much rather be Detroit Rock City than Rock and Roll All Night. Give me listen, that crowd is going to be so effing red hot that night. So ready for it. 10,000 people. The minute you go live on pay-per-view and your music hits, they're on their seats. They're screaming at the top of their lungs. It's the best spot to be in. Joey will come out. He'll shit the bed and ruin the show, but I digress.
Probably. I mean, everything's been going so good for me. I don't know. That might be the situation.
No bad juju.
I'll walk out to the ring and trip over the ring steps, and that would be it. And that would be my Shockmaster moment.
But you know what? With your shtick, you could probably trip all over yourself, get right back up, no sell it, and the place would pop for you.
Yeah, that is also true because sometimes I do trip on purpose on my entrance. Pretend I'm dead, so it could work.
Joey, you have like a reputation, like when you compete, you have a certain style about you when you're in the ring. Do you mind that reputation, or are you doing anything to change that reputation? What I mean by the reputation, like obviously the death matches and everything else that you're involved in.
Yeah, I think I am. I think I'm proving a lot of the doubters wrong. Right now, I have the WWN title, which is the top title in Evolve, next to the Evolve title. Mm-hmm. So a lot of the fans that I debuted there on my first night, I won the belt. So it's I'm proving a lot of the fans wrong over there. Said this guy can only do hardcore matches with chairs or whatever. I haven't touched a weapon there yet, and every match I've had there has been a barn burner. So the same thing with PWG. I've done a little bit more crazier stuff there, but I'm proving a lot of people wrong, and a lot of people that said, "Oh, this guy is just a guy who can fall off buildings and stuff." I'm definitely proving them wrong, and and I'll keep on doing the same.
Maybe one day I'll push you off a building.
If you want to, that's fine,
right.
As long as it's you. But you got to come off with me with the sit down power bomb.
What are you going to do? Leo rush me and pop right up and no sell it?
That's it. I'm getting back. That's it. That's what I'm going to do.
You mentioned All In and being in front of 10,000 fans. What's more satisfying for you? Having like possibly here next week a sellout of one of your shows, or being a part of somebody else's show but being in front of a big crowd like there's going to be in Chicago?
Well, there's nothing ever in my career ever compared to being in front of a crowd that big. But there's also a satisfaction to know how much work you put into something, and then when it trends number one in the world, we're the only independent wrestling show to ever trend number one in the world. That's a huge accomplishment. Even though it's at the middle of the night and there's really nothing else going on at other parts of the world, it is the
Forget
afternoon.
that. Don't even mention that part of it.
But still, it trended number one in the world.
Yeah, it's trended number one in the world.
We have bragging rights, so that's a big deal. But wrestling in front of 10,000 plus is just that's just something else.
Joey, who do you find yourself as wrestlers? Obviously, we're still wrestling fans. Who do you find yourself watching these days? Whose work do you appreciate?
John Cena.
And why?
He's a workhorse. Every time the fans, now these days it's not as bad as it used to be, where the fans, they have a new guy, the shit on Roman Reigns, but every time Cena comes out, he puts on a show. He's a workhorse, and he's just when it's big match turf, he's putting on the match of the night, or one of the top 3 matches of the night. I think he's the best in the world. The way he moves around the ring is very unorthodox compared to some of these guys these days that are, it's a lot smoother of in-ring technique. But, I think Cena is number one, best wrestler, my favorite wrestler to watch. Whenever Cena, I don't really watch too much WWE anymore, but when John Cena's wrestling, I'm watching.